Finally, back like cooked crack. NFL season right around the corner. Do you smell it? I ask you guys this all the time, but when that college football comes on, that week one, not week zero, not that week zero bullshit they try to pull over your eyes that first week when they throw out a couple of garbage games just to pique your interest. I'm talking about week one of college football. When that comes around, shit hits different. It really feels like fall now. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the 198th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Man, it feels so good to be back. I needed that break, though. Recharge the battery. Whew, it was down to like maybe 35%. I feel good, man. I'm ready to hit the ground running now. Season is right here upon us. We can almost reach out and touch it. College football gave us a little taste, just a little taste. And I enjoyed it, man. I consumed a lot more college football than I'm accustomed to consuming. However, we'll talk about that a little bit later on the show. That was going to be the first thing we talked about on the show tonight. And then Daniel Snyder's wife, Tanya Snyder, jumped on the Adam Schefter podcast and got me thinking a little bit. She dropped the gem on my melon, so I figured I'd drop the gem on your melon. It's one of those pass it on situations, right? Pay it forward, pass it on. So that's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to pass it on. She passed it to me, so I'm going to pass it to you. You pass it to somebody else. So we'll talk about that. Anytime I'm away for longer than a couple of days, you know, when we come back, we got to catch up on all the news we missed. So in case you missed it, is well in order tonight. So we're going to get to that as well. And all of your comments out there, we'll see if we can get to a few of those tonight since I'm not on a time restriction of any sort. If you want your comment to be read, you know how to do that. Use the hashtag LouieTLive, and I'll see if I can get to some comments maybe if we have some time. And if you want to jump to the front line, you know how to do that as well. Use the super chat function to do that. Also, don't forget, we're getting down to the nitty gritty of the winners and losers, the Soul Survivor pool, and the weekly pick'em pool for this week. The LTN exclusives, the deadline is drawing near for the ones that require year-long registration and dedication from you. So please be very vigilant and mindful if you're looking to participate, to go ahead and register, pay your registration fee to get in. Everything you need is on the site, LouieTeeNetwork.net. You hit that LTN exclusives tab. It'll take you to the page where everything is. Again, if you need any help, hit me up. You got multiple ways you can get at the kid. Hit me up. All the links are down in the description of this video and every single video that I do. So if you're looking for help, it is there. Click the link. It'll take you where you need to go. We'll talk more about that over the next, 24 to 48 hours because everybody, people like to wait till the last minute. It's the deadline spur action. I know that, you know that. And so a lot of people are trying to get in, but they're scrambling at the last minute. They do this every single year. It's no big deal. I'm used to it. So if you want to get in, you still got time, but don't delay. Don't wait. Go ahead and make it happen, Captain. So I want to give a huge shout out to all my Mob Squad members out there. Really do appreciate you. MOBB, stand up. We in the building. Speaking of which, I actually have a couple of new members to the mob right here. Got the Phillies Ace 34. Welcome to the Mob Squad, the Phillies Ace 34. Thank you for your membership. Stand up, the Phillies Ace 34. You are officially a member of the Mob Squad. Stand up, man. You are in the building as a silver member of the MOBB. Thank you for your membership. I know he's an Eagles fan, but he's one of the nicer Eagle fans. Open your arms nice and wide and welcome to Phillies Ace 34 to the family. Got another one here too. Valmont Smart, thank you for your membership. Valmont Smart. Stand up, Valmont. You are officially in the building as a brand new member of the MOBB mob. You know what to do. Show some love to those two new members, Valmont Smart. It's a smart decision you just made, becoming a gold member of the mob. Welcome and thank you for your membership. So let's get to the elephant in the room that was dropped on our heads not that long ago. So let me first of all pull up this tweet real quick so I'll have it nice and ready for you guys. And see, I got it on my, so I don't know why I came there. Let's go to my page because I know what I pulled up. Here it is right here. All right, so let's get to this Gem Droppin Session, shall we? I think we shall. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, LouieTeeNetwork. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. So, Tanya Snyder, recently on the Adam Schefter podcast. And on the Adam Schefter podcast, they talked about a myriad of topics, including her new involvement and role in the Washington football team. She's been very vocal since receiving the title of co-CEO of the Washington football team. She's been a lot more out front than in past years. And her voice is starting to get louder and louder. And I think a lot of that is a byproduct of the NFL telling Daniel Snyder he has to stay away, which really doesn't mean much. I think his wife is now turning into a mouthpiece for him. But that being said, I don't want to dismiss her involvement. I don't want to dismiss that these may be her individual thoughts and how she feels about some things. But nonetheless, a few months ago, Jason Wright, the team president, said, and I shouldn't say a few months ago, it was last month. It's like August 17th, 18th, 19th, somewhere in that general vicinity, like the middle of August, I remember. He said, because they put out a subsequent video to go along with this statement. They've been doing this kind of chronicling the journey of rebranding the name and all of that stuff. And they had a video out, and essentially in that video, they had a bunch of names they put up on the Jumbotron, you know, the scoreboard in the background, and asked some of the season ticket holders what they thought of you know, that logo and that name or whatever the case may be. And so it got people to thinking maybe that's what it's down to. And so he had to go back and clarify, hey, look, we haven't selected a name yet, but at the end of the episode, they said that there were 3 names pretty much. And then, you know, they beeped it out. He said, what about this name? Beep. And what about this? Beep. And what about this? Beep. And Ron Rivera's like, oh, I really like that one. And so that was like the ending of the video. So, you know, everybody was thinking, oh, what are those 3 names? Yada, yada, yada. He's like, well, we're not actually down to just 3. Like, those were 3 of 8 names that we whittled the list down to. And I've been contending all along, they got a name already. They're just trying to make the fan base feel like they're a part of the process of rebranding this thing. And they want to reel some of these fans that they may have lost back in. And they want to try to bring in a new generation of fans and make them feel like they're a part of this process. Like, this is a team that they helped build, so to speak, in terms of, you know, the new logo and the new name and, you know, all of that stuff. So I said it's great strategy on the part of Jason Wright. I'm just not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. But he's not after people like me. I'm not going anywhere. You don't have to sell me. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Whether we're the Muskrats or the Red Wolves or the Defenders, I'm not going anywhere. So you don't have to sell it to me. It's the guy that gave up 2-3 years ago when it seemed hopeless, and he vowed that he wasn't coming back until, you know, he saw, you know, definite change. That's the person they're selling this to. Or the 17-year-old or the 18-year-old or the 22-year-old that never has seen this organization win a day in their life, and they're thinking about finding a new team like the Baltimore Ravens up 95, and that's the person they're going after, that they want to reel in. Not me. So I could care less. But I've contended that they've already had a name this whole time. But I've talked to some people, one in particular, that has some, I don't want to say inside information, but they know somebody that knows somebody. It's one of those situations that is actually in the room, and he's like, hey man, I'm not gonna lie to you, we kind of F this thing up. And I'm not quite sure that the name we wanted to get is the name that they're gonna ultimately get, because there's some stumbling blocks there. And no, we don't actually have the name quite yet. Like, I'm hearing that. It's a little bit unnerving, so to speak. Oh, really? So now I'm starting to kind of walk back my position like, yeah, they got a name, because I trust this person that's telling me this stuff. And I don't know if the sources that he's getting it from are trustworthy, but he also gave me some information that I was able to kind of fish around and find out that was true, which was Curtis Samuel. His groin really isn't the problem. It's just conditioning at this point. The groin is fine. So I think this person is telling the truth. At the end of the day, they may not have a name yet. It's what I'm trying to tell you. And so on Adam Schefter's podcast, Tanya Snyder pretty much spilled the beans, because Jason Wright never told us what those 8 names that they had it whittled down to were. He just said, hey, we down to 8. Not just 3, but 8. We have 3 names in particular that we're looking at, but we still got other names that we're considering at this point. And Adam Schefter threw out the 8 names. He must have gotten it from a source, and she confirmed it. Now, after she confirmed it, she said that had already been confirmed, right? Not exactly. It's almost like Hertz car rental. Not exactly. Not exactly. So, kind of probably didn't mean to do that. Maybe she did. Maybe this is a marketing ploy to get people more excited and conjure up more attention for the name. Maybe she purposefully did it. Played the, oh, I didn't know role, but whatever the case may be, the end result is the 8 names are out there that they're reportedly considering. Those 8 names go as follows: Red Hogs, Defenders, Armada, Presidents, Brigade, Commanders, Red Wolves, and Washington Football Team. So those are the 8 names that they've whittled the list down to reportedly. That I can't confirm nor deny this, by the way, but those are supposedly the 8 names they've whittled it down to. Now, remember, I've told you all along that I think it's going to be something regal, something presidential, something more politically correct. Ron Rivera has already said it's going to be something that makes the DMV proud, all of Virginia, Maryland, and DC proud. And I'm like, what the hell could that be? So some of these names make sense. Armada was a name that they've been playing around with a little bit. I don't like it. I don't even know what it means. It probably has something to do with military, if I had to guess. But I have no idea what it means. But that's the name they've been playing around with. I've heard that from multiple sources. But Red Hogs is something that I know they were playing around with, and I've seen mock-ups of logos and things of that nature. Defenders, we've heard that one. We've heard that one going back to when the name was being threatened the first time around, or the first 87 times around. Defenders has always been a name that's been hovering around. I believe was the what's it called team? What's the Vince McMahon league? Shit, I can't remember. What was that? The DC Defenders? Were they the Defenders? DC Defenders, I believe. So that name has a little bit of history already, I believe. Presidents, that's garbage. That's as corny as it gets. Brigade, Commanders, Red Wolves, and Washington Football Team. What do you guys think of those 8 names? Red Hogs, Defenders, Armada, Presidents, Brigade, Commanders, Red Wolves, Washington Football Team. I've already told you, I really don't give a shit. If they picked any of those names, honestly, if I had to rank them 1 to 8, I think Red Wolves would be first. I'm not the biggest fan of Red Hogs, but okay, whatever. I think it'd be Red Wolves 1. Probably the Defenders 2. Maybe Washington Football Team 3. I really don't want it to be Washington Football Team, so I probably would slide Red Hogs 3, Commanders 4, Brigade 5, Red Wolves 6, Armada 7, and Presidents 8 is probably how I would slide it. But again, if they picked any one of these 8 names, I'd be like, okay, whatever, cool. Even the Presidents, which I can't stand, I'd be like, okay, whatever. I'm going to call them Washington if they're the Presidents. Anyway, okay. So they're not going to choose Presidents. I think it'll be one of the other names. I really think it's going to be Red Wolves, to be honest with you. I think they're trying to dot all their I's, cross all their T's. They want it to be Red Wolves. That's the name that gained the most traction. They're trying to reel in the younger generation and demographic. That's the way they're going to do it, is with Red Wolves. Again, the name's not for me. So I think that's what they ultimately are going to do. But it'll be interesting to see how they handle this situation, because I'm hearing that they really don't actually have the name, and that they've kind of messed this thing up in terms of getting all of the trademarks and patents that they needed. They really allowed a lot of time to pass and a lot of people to have the opportunity to squat on a lot of these names. And so they don't want to succumb to pressure from someone that's squatting on one of these names. They don't want to reward a squatter. That's been their move this entire time. But I don't know. I don't know. I'd like to think that they've got most of the things they need for these 8 names. And they've probably got another 20 to 25 names. That's what I'm hearing. Is they got at least 30 names that they've registered trademarks for. But we're going to see. All right. Hard to say what ultimately comes of this situation. I just know that we'll get some resolution reportedly at the beginning of 2022. After this season is done, we get into next year and we start getting ready and preparing for the new league year in March. We should be getting resolution. I'm hoping after the Super Bowl, sometime in late February, this thing comes to a head. We get a new name and we move forward. We get the backlash, we get the people laughing and pointing, we get that stuff out of the way. We'll probably deal with that for about a year, maybe a year and a half, and then you move on. So I hope that process gets started in February, where they can just unveil the name. We take all of the shots that we're going to take. People are going to point, they're going to laugh. We're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have a sector of the fan base that can't stand the name, a sector of the fan base that wanted to just remain Washington Football Team, and then you're going to have the sector of the fan base that is just perfectly content with the new name and just wants to move forward. So we'll see what happens, man. You can't please everybody. I hope they understand that and they make a decision accordingly. And I think that decision ultimately is going to be Red Wolves. I really do, because they realize they can't please everybody, but they can please the majority, and that's what they should be aiming to do. And at this point, if you don't want Red Wolves to be the name, you're not loud enough. You're not a part of the majority, you're a part of the minority. And if there are more people that don't want the name to be Red Wolves, then you have to band together like the people that do want it to be Red Wolves have, because they've already created a massive faction and they've spoken loud and clear. The organization has clearly heard them, and I think they are the leaders in the clubhouse right now. So I think ultimately they want this team name to be Red Wolves, but Ron has already said, I think that name's pretty cool. So it's not like they don't think the name is one that they can stomach. So we'll see. And Ron, we've already said this. Ron has he has input, and I think his approval somewhat matters, which is really, really fascinating for an organization that has been run by the Snyders for over 2 decades. A guy that literally just got here a year ago, having say so in what this team might be called for the next 100 years is almost asinine when you think about it. But that's how far this organization has fallen, and that's how much they respect Ron as well. And they're hoping that he'll be a part of this organization and maybe build himself into a Joe Gibbs-like figure within the organization and hopefully win and have the success that Joe Jackson Gibbs had in Washington as well. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and transition to our next segment. But before we do that, we're going to get a word from one of our sponsors. I see some super chats and a couple of new members lined up, so I want to get to those. So we're going to take a quick break, get a word from one of our sponsors, come back on the other side, and then jump into all of those comments. And then in case you missed it, you are dialed into the 198th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. You're getting some late night Louie. I'll see you guys on the other side. I want to take this time to thank Manscaped for sponsoring the Louie T Network podcast. Fantasy football draft season is upon us. It's time you put the PP back in PPR league with the sponsors of today's show, Manscaped. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming just launched the new Performance Package 4.0. Don't neglect your balls like the Packers front office has been neglecting Aaron Rodgers. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff by going to manscaped.com, getting 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code LouieT. This will help you tame that Troy Polamalu in your pants. If you're grooming below the waist, the Performance Package 4.0 is an essential purchase. And good news for all of our international listeners out there, their life-changing products are now available in Canada, the UK, across Europe, Australia, South Africa, and even Singapore. Inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, crop preserver, ball deodorant, crop reviver toner, performance boxer briefs, and a travel bag as well. First scheduled for liftoff, new Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. This spaceship is here to guide you on a journey to trim your balls, body, and even your A-gap. Don't want to fall prey to that double A-gap blitz. This 4th generation trimmer also features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multifunction on and off switch which can engage travel lock and is even waterproof. The Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 4000K LED spotlight which allows you to be as accurate as that clip of Tom Brady playing catch with the jugs machine. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker. It's like having Derrick Henry run through those tough nose and ear hairs. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. This ear and nose hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology which helps reduce nicks, snags, and tugs in those sensitive holes. Pause. Don't forget to use the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and their Crop Reviver to help your little bench warmers be on their A game while feeling the sun's heat. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and Shed Travel Bag as well. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code LouieT at Manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code LouieT at Manscaped.com. If your significant other is nagging you about how much time you put in your fantasy team, you might as well gift them some beautiful balls with Manscaped. And trust me when I tell you this, your balls and your significant other Well, thank you. Welcome back to the show. You are dialed in to the 198th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I thank you guys for joining me. If you haven't already done so, please take this time to subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also hit the like button. Doesn't cost you a thing, but it helps this channel grow exponentially. So over 100 of you out there, only 49 likes. Let's get those likes up and try to get to 70. You know, that's always my destination for these podcasts, is up to 70, and then we go from there. So hit the like button if you haven't already hit that like button. Got a super chat here from the Phillies Ace 34. Thank you for the super chat, the Phillies Ace 34. Greatly appreciate you, and thank you for becoming a brand new member of the Mob Squad. My guy, the Phillies Ace 34, writes, "What's up, my man Louie? If Washington loses their first game, would you be a little worried? Let's sing Fly Eagles Fly because we do the double up. LOL." If we lost week 1, I would not panic, but we would then have to win against the Giants in week 2. It would be a must win. And I want that Giants game badly. If you told me I had to take a loss in week 1 to ensure the win in week 2, I'd do that. But I would like to get both of those games, honestly. But I'm not worried about the Giants right now. My sole focus are the Los Angeles Chargers coming in here week 1. To me, that game is huge because you need to get off to a good start on the season. I've already talked about having 2 straight home games to open up the season, but then 2 roadies right afterwards. The biggest thing is you want to protect home. I don't know how good the Chargers are going to be this year. My hope is that they didn't play their starters for the bulk of the preseason and play most of their offensive guys at all. I just hope that affects them early on in the game. Maybe the first couple of quarters they get off to a slow start. We jump them, and they aren't able to recover. Maybe they make a hard charge late, but we hold them off. I don't really care. I just want the dub, and if we don't get it, I don't think it's not damning to the season. It doesn't make any kind of definitive declaration about how we're going to play this year or who we are. Week 1 rarely is something that you can take to the bank. Jacksonville won their first game last year. They didn't win another game all season long. So you don't want to fall into the trap of thinking you got to win in week 1, but you don't want to lose at home. I've talked about taking care of home. This year we have more road games than we have home games. So being that we got 9 roadies and 8 home games, they become even more precious. You've got to take care of home if you want any chance of trying to make the postseason. If you're Washington, I think this is a big game. You need to get off to a really good start, something that we didn't do under Jay Gruden, but we did find a way to do last year in year 1 of Ron. I hope we can continue that trend and get the win this year against the Chargers. We'll see what happens. The Phillies Ace, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. HTTR for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. HTTR for life writes, "What's up, Lou? What's up, HTTR for life? I've been away for the off season, but you know me, I'm always back at the start of the season. Hope you didn't forget about me, Lou." I didn't, man. And you're not alone. There are a lot of people that operate in that same space where they say, all right, I don't do the off season stuff. I don't do the draft. I don't do all of the tomfoolery that goes on in the offseason, none of that minutia. I'll show up when the games start to count. Fair enough. I'm here. And if you need any catching up to speed, you got the entire archive there to get you where you need to be. And we hit the ground running together. So I'm glad to have you back. Look forward to chopping it up with you. And I'm really excited. Hopefully you are as well for the upcoming season. A lot of changes have been made, most of them positive. We'll see if they affect this team in a positive manner. Got another member, brand new member to the Mob Squad, Robert Parrish. The Chief, stand up, my guy Robert Parrish. You are officially a member of the Mob Squad. Stand up. You in the building, my guy Robert Parrish, a brand new member of the MOBB Silver membership. Thank you so much for becoming a member of the Mob. You guys know what to do, Mob. Welcome, my guy Robert Parrish, to the MOBB Greatly appreciate you, Robert. Looking forward to chopping it up with you all season long and in the very, very near future. Got another new member, Duane Porch. Thank you for your membership. Stand up, Duane. You are officially in the building as a brand new member of the MOBB mob. You know what to do. Mob the man, Duane Porch, and show him some love. Welcome to the MOBB, and thank you for your membership, Duane Porch. Welcome as a bronze member. My guy, Trevor Patch. Thank you for your membership. As always, Trevor Patch, greatly appreciate your support. My guy, Trevor Patch, stand up. You are officially in the building as a brand new member of the Mob Squad. Y'all stand up. Trevor Patch is now officially in the building as a gold member. You know what to do. Mob the man and show him some love. Trevor Patch, welcome aboard as a gold member of the Mob Squad. All right, so I think we are all caught up to speed there. I think we got a couple of super chats down here. My guy Barrett Downing, thank you for the super chat as always. BD, thank you so much for the support. My guy Barrett Downing writes, football is almost back, Lou, and I can't wait. Bart Scott, can't wait. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for all that you do, BD. Greatly appreciate you. He says, respect, brother. Likewise. The feeling is mutual. My guy, DCJ, with a super chat. Thank you for the super chat, DCJ. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, DCJ, writes, what's good, Lou? What's good, DCJ? He says, I'm in the same boat as you. Really don't care. Anything Red Wolves is cool. We got Caps and Nats and Whiz Kids, Bullets already. Wolves would be the least, he said, would at least be aggressive. I can feel you on that. Again, my opinion, Washington football team 2-0 out the gate. I hope that's the case. That's the hope, because we know the schedule is going to get exponentially tougher, incrementally tougher. Right at about week 5, it's when shit gets real, and you're going to really find out how good this team is. I think it's actually week 6. We got the Chargers and the Giants at home. We then followed it up with at the Bills and at the Falcons, and then it's the Saints at the crib, and then week 6 it's the Chiefs at the crib, and that's when shit gets real. Chiefs at the crib, and then it's like the Packers on the road, and then it's another tough game after that. It gets real. You know, we start to really see the tough portion of that schedule show up, and we're gonna find out how good this football team is. You know, and you want to be in a position where you can withstand a couple of losses from some really good teams in the event that they come. So I think the 2-0 start is huge, but it's not a necessity, but it'd be very helpful with the way this schedule is set up. You know, I can tell you this. I've already said that somehow you got to find a way to be no worse than 4-5 at the bye week. Because you got Brady and company coming to town after the bye. And they're beatable, but are we going to beat them? I don't know the answer to that. I've already said that we've got to find a way to win at least 2 out of the 3 games against Allen, Wilson, Rodgers, Mahomes, and Brady. We got to find a way to win 2 out of the 3 of those things. And that's a tough ask, man. I mean, you're talking about 5 of the best quarterbacks in all of football. So it's a tough ask, but it's a reasonable one if you want to make the postseason. So 2-0 would be great. If we beat the Chargers, we're going 2-0 because we're going to beat the Giants. I made the declaration last year we were beating the Eagles, and I wasn't moving off of that spot. I feel the same way about the Giants. There's no way we're losing week 2 to the Giants. You know, unless we go out there and do what we routinely do against the Giants, which is throw up all over ourselves, turn the ball over, give them every opportunity to beat us, which is how they've beaten us the last 3 or 4 times we've played them. Daniel Jones has only went out and beat us 1 time. And that's the game we wanted him to beat us. The Chase Young Bowl, where he went out and scorched us for 5 touchdown passes, including a touchdown toss on the opening drive of overtime. outside of that game, he was awful the first time we played them that year, when I think he threw 2 interceptions, but Duane threw 3. He wasn't good that game, and Daniel Jones was horrible. The first game against the Giants, he wasn't good in that game. You know, we gave that game away with that late fumble. And in the game against the Washington football team at home, he actually wasn't bad in that game. I still don't forgive. I want to say it might have been DeShazer Everett. Could have been Jeremy Reeves. I want to say it was DeShazer Everett. Coming on a safety blitz off the edge. Daniel Jones doesn't see him, and they go for the kill shot instead of stripping the football. He would have fumbled. He had no idea that guy was coming. Late in that ball game. The same thing they did to us, we could have done back to them. Force a fumble late, scoop and score it, and win that football game. Instead, he gets the sack. They end up punting, and Alex Smith throws his, second or third interception of that game. So, anyway, I digress. We're going to beat the Giants. I said all of that to say this. We're going to beat the Giants. Anyway, thank you for the super chat, DCJ. Got another one here from DCJ as well. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, DCJ. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, it's enough teams that rep the city in the politics. Washington football team upstairs got to go aggressive. I say it's a grind out game week 1, but Fitz and Hop steps up for the win. I hope you're right. Again, I don't really give a shit how it happens. You know, whether, it's the defense that carries us in a 17-13 win, or D-Hop is money, 3 of 3 in the field goal department as we outlast the Chargers 30-24, and like you said, Fitz is phenomenal, goes for 289, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and D-Hop's 3 for 3, and we get to 30 and win 30-24. I don't care how it looks. I just want it. You know how I am. I just want it. So we'll see what happens. And as far as the name is concerned, I told you I think they're going to go with something. If it's not Red Wolves, it's going to be something that is either military based, or it's going to be something like having to do with politics, because of the city. And I've already talked about that, presidents. I didn't think that would be a name, but it was something like that. The XFL. Thank you guys. The XFL. Robert Parrish says the Armada is a fleet of ships. I knew it had something to do with the military. That's the only way that one would be up there. So, got you. I appreciate that. Now I know. All right, so I think that was the last super chat, and it was. So let's jump into, in case you missed it, Justice Hill tore his Achilles, running back for the Baltimore Ravens. A guy that I really like coming out of Oklahoma State a few years ago now. Hasn't really panned out and hasn't really gotten any reps on the field for the Baltimore Ravens. And they really weren't looking to rely on Justice Hill this year. They had J.K. Dobbins. They had a slew of backs they were going to roll with, and they were fine. And then J.K. Dobbins goes down. So they're like, all right, Justice Hill, he'll have to step up. We'll roll with the next man up approach, and we'll be fine. And now he tears his Achilles. And so now they're like, okay, now we got to do something. They were already sniffing around veteran backs just in case. Justice Hill news pretty much cemented the fact that they have to go out and get someone, and that they did, inking a 1-year deal with former hated rival in Pittsburgh Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell. Now, last time we saw Le'Veon Bell was in a Kansas City Chiefs uniform. He looked a lot slower, and Bell never had a step to give. The quicks was still there, but the speed definitely was lacking. And generally with running backs, that's the first thing to go. So the instincts are still there, the vision is still there, the physicality is still there, but the speed, which was always an issue with him, but he still had some burst at least. I don't see a burst with him anymore. But they're not asking him to start. They're probably going to give that role to Gus Edwards. They're going to hitch their wagon to Gus the Bus and see how far. But Gus has always been in a reserve backup role. I don't know how Gus looks in a feature role. We're going to find out. But L. Bell, back in the league. I thought it was over for him. Back in the league with the Baltimore Ravens. And we'll see. It could be short-lived because of the next thing we're going to talk about. In case you missed it, the New Orleans Saints tried to strong-arm running back Latavius Murray. Now, if you recall, earlier in the offseason, we saw a similar situation take place with the Las Vegas Raiders, in which they waited until all the quarterbacks, and this is a practice that is commonly used amongst NFL franchises. They wait until all the money's dried up, all of the roster spots are gone, and then they come to a player and give him an ultimatum. And this is no different here. So what the Vegas Raiders did in the offseason is they could have easily gone to Marcus Mariota at the start of free agency and said, hey, you can either take a pay cut or we're going to have to cut you. He would have probably then said, okay, cut me. And there would have been 4 or 5 teams that would have been willing and very able to give this man an opportunity not only to start, but to resurrect his career and probably paid him some good money to do so. Instead, the Raiders waited until Washington inked a deal with Ryan Fitzpatrick. The Bears inked a deal with Andy Dalton. The Dolphins inked a deal with Jacoby Brissett. Tyrod Taylor landed in Houston. And all of the quarterback dominoes fell. And once that was finished, then the Raiders came. No real money left for a backup quarterback. No one looking for a potential starter. And no real cheese out there to be spread on anybody's bread. And they went up to Mariota and said, hey, bro, need you to take a pay cut or else. And he looked around the NFL landscape and he said, damn, they got a quarterback. They got a quarterback. They got a quarterback now. Y'all ain't shit. All right, man, I'll take the damn pay cut. He didn't have a choice. I mean, he had a choice. He could have ended up, hell, even Mitchell Trubisky ended up somewhere. But Mitchell had to take $2.5 million. Marcus was like, nah, I ain't going out like that. So, had Marcus waited, the Cowboys definitely would have gave Marcus Mariota a sniff, and they would have paid him a lot more than what he's probably getting paid now. The Indianapolis Colts, they didn't know they were going to have the issues they've had. He probably would have ended up being a backup there and getting paid some good money, but he wanted a chance to start. So he took the reduced pay to stay in Vegas for one more year, and he'll have a chance at it next year. But the moral of that story is they waited until all the money and all the roster spots dried up to then approach him and say, hey, it's an or else situation. Same thing with the Saints here. Had they made this move, they knew for the longest time. They didn't just wake up today and say, man, we need some more bread under the cap. Who can we go to? They've already mapped this thing out with Latavius Murray. They were saying that, hey, we can go to Latavius at the end of training camp. After all the teams have made their final roster cuts and everything, the dust settles, the smoke clears, right before the start of the season, when we get to the point where those veterans are guaranteed their salary for the full season, we can go right to Latavius at that moment when everybody's got their shit locked in and there are no more roster spots available, and hit him with the old okie doke. Hey, bro, need you to take that pay cut. And I told you, if you're a team and you go to a non-superstar player and ask for a pay cut, you've got to be willing to cut that player if they say no. You have to be. You can't go to a guy and say, man, we were really wondering if by some chance you could see it in your heart to take a pay cut. Like, that's not how you approaching a guy, passive aggressively. You go in there and you go in there with the mindset of either you do this or you get cut. And that's what they did to Latavius Murray. He's like, okay, cut me then. I'm not taking a damn pay cut. Y'all full of shit too. And he probably read them their rights too. Because they knew they was dirty for that. And the timing couldn't have been any worse because it was right after the Ravens inked a deal with Le'Veon Bell. He would have been a much better fit for them than Le'Veon Bell. But they even waited until that seat was taken already. And that well was dried up. The Saints ain't shit for that. But he'll land on his feet. There's always a need for a veteran running back during the course of the season. There's no position that takes a bigger toll on their players than the running back position. He'll get work, but it won't be guaranteed money. It won't be, hey, you're locked into this salary for the remainder of the season. And this money is guaranteed to you. And the Saints knew that. That's why they did that to him. That's the NFL business. It is what it is. It's a dirty, dick, dastardly, shady, nasty, funky, nasty business. But that's what it is. And that's what happened to Latavius Murray today. We'll see where he ends up landing. In case you missed it, the Pittsburgh Steelers and TJ Watt talks reportedly getting ugly. So, these situations are really fascinating to watch unfold because depending on who you talk to, it could get ugly. In here. Oh, in here. Oh, in here. Oh. Or it could just be TJ Watt's people putting this out here to make it seem like the situation is becoming dire. And that's what agents do. When you really want to put the pressure on the organization, you beat them to the punch. You don't want the organization to come out and say, hey, we offered this guy a great contract, fair market value, similar to what the Steelers did with Le'Veon Bell. Became a he said, they said type of discussion. The Steelers are like, look, we offered this man a great contract, what we thought was fair market value for what he's done and what we think he's going to do for us in the future. And Le'Veon Bell was like, no, the hell you didn't. Okay, it's your word against theirs. Most agents want to get out in front of that. So you go out there and you tell everybody, hey, man, Steelers ain't holding up their end of the bargain. Shit's getting ugly. And I'm going to tell you right now, we could get to a point where my guy won't sign. And you'll have to franchise tag him if that's what you want to do. You want to go through that process? Be my guest. But if this thing doesn't get a lot cleaner in terms of closer to this guaranteed money that we need to be working with, because we're all the way over here on, and that's where the hang up reportedly is guaranteed money, not years, not the overall number necessarily, but the guarantee. That's what's important in football. Always remember that. The cosmetic number is the number you hear at the end. 4 years, 89 million. That last number is cosmetic. That's for the agent. That player isn't going to see, I don't care who you are, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Von Miller, Myles Garrett. I don't care if you're Aaron Donald, best of the best of the best. You're not going to see the end of that deal. Whatever you signed, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, you're not going to see the end of that deal. Never happens. Either you're going to get an extension before that deal reaches its conclusion, or you're going to be cut or traded before that deal reaches its conclusion. It's rare that a guy signs a 5-year extension and gets to that final year like Ryan Kerrigan did with Washington last year. Gets to that final year and something doesn't happen. The team comes to you, asks you to take a pay cut. You say no, they release you. Or you get traded with another year left in your contract. Like, we all assume Ryan Kerrigan's going to be a casualty. Ryan Kerrigan, they're going to go to him and ask for some money, but they didn't need to because they were in a great cap situation. So he was allowed to stay on the roster last year. They say, hey, you can make your little $13 million. Don't worry. We're not coming after your money. So most times teams do come after that money because they're not in a great cap situation. They need those extra dollars. And they go to that guy on that 1 year, that last year of that deal you signed, and you say, hey, man, can you restructure some of this? Can we get some of this back? And they're like, nah, then you got to do something. The contracts that we hear and we talk about all the time, those are great, but it's all about the guarantees. I talk about the guarantees. And the guarantees are going up and up and up and up. And we're seeing players now be smart. I want 50. I want 55. I want 60% of my contract guaranteed. That's the way to go about it. Because in these other sports, Major League Baseball, NBA, these are fully guaranteed contracts. If a guy signs a 4-year, $138 million contract in the NBA, he's getting, no matter what happens, he's getting that $138 million. Okay? If a guy signs a 5-year, 400 or 10-year, $435 million MLB contract, doesn't matter. He could get hurt after the 4th year of that contract. He's getting his $434 million. It's fully guaranteed. The NFL is the only sport that doesn't do that. And for good reason. I understand why it's not a fully guaranteed contract a lot of times. But that's not the problem of the player. Their best interest is getting the most guaranteed dollars that they can get their hands on. So the Steelers may be looking to give him 40% of this deal guaranteed, and they're like, bro, we looking like more towards 60. Y'all figure this out. So we'll see where this goes. I surmise that cooler heads will prevail at the end of this thing. We got a whole season of ball to go. Whether they got to franchise him and they figure it out, something will get done, and he'll remain a Pittsburgh Steeler. But I think this is just his side of things, his agent and handlers putting this out there to try to let the Steelers know, if y'all want to play ball like this, we can get dirty and nasty with y'all in the mud. If y'all trying to get it like that, we can get it like that. So we'll see what happens. In case you missed it, the Seattle Seahawks and offensive tackle Duane Brown reach a agreement on a restructured and reworked final year of his deal in Seattle. So I told you that Seattle was not worried about Duane Brown. He was not priority number one. That distinction went to safety Jamal Adams. After they got Adams done, I said they'll turn around and they'll figure something out with Duane Brown. But Pete Carroll had already put his foot down and said, hey, bro, and he was talking to Russ when he pretty much said this, I'm not giving, a 36-year-old tackle a 3-4 year deal. I don't know what you think this is, but we're not re-upping this dude. Pete had already put his foot down, but he said what we can do, and we've talked about this, is hush-hush money. We've seen this done before with Julio in Atlanta. We saw it done with Stephon Gilmore before. We've seen teams, and recently the Miami Dolphins just did it with their star corner, Xavier Howard. It's hush-hush money. All right, we're going to work some things out. We're going to give you a little bit more upfront money. We're going to give you a little bit more guarantees in this contract, and it will give you a chance to earn some more money and incentives and things of that nature. So if you play X amount of games, you get X amount of accolades, you make the Pro Bowl, you're an All-Pro, you get an X amount of dollars thrown into your contract as another bonus. So they reworked his contract essentially to take his base salary and convert it into a signing bonus, meaning he gets that money right now into his pocket. So they took $7 million of his $11 million base salary this year and converted 7 of it into a signing bonus. So essentially, they reworked the deal. He signed his name, and $7 million hit his bank account today. And the other 4 will be spread out over the rest of the year in the form of a base. And it's smart on his part. I don't know what the structure of the deal was, but I know this much. I want my money now. It's my money, and I want it now. And he essentially got it now. And the rest is going to be spread out because you just don't know what's going to happen. He gets hurt. They cut him with an injury settlement, and it's not what he was guaranteed to have this season. You never know what could happen. So just give me my money now. And I think there's an injury settlement in there for next year. So if he gets hurt this year, the money that he is slated to make will be guaranteed to him in an injury settlement. So he set himself up so that if something goes awry, he still has protection for next year as well. So I knew it would get worked out. They would take care of him, but they weren't going to give him, a 3-year deal, which is what Russell Wilson was advocating. Russ really just wanted his left tackle protecting his blind side. Now he's got that. Seattle's all good. I talked about there could be some sleepless in Seattle moments. They've taken care of everything. All is well in the Emerald City. Now let's see what the Seahawks do in the upcoming season. In case you missed it, one of my favorite tight ends in the league, Mark Andrews. Some good news for the Ravens for a change. Gets an extension from the Ravens, a 4-year, $56 million extension, making him one of the highest paid tight ends in the league. I think he's just behind Kittle and Kelsey now in terms of the pecking order. He will be surpassed at some point by Darren Waller here shortly, but well deserved. I think a lot of people don't really understand just how good Mark Andrews is. In the pecking order of tight ends in the league, I think he's 4th. And I just gave you the 3 guys that I think are better than him. Waller, Kelsey, Kittle. That's it. I think he's the 4th best tight end in the league. Now, I think there are some other young tight ends that are knocking on the door that if they can stay healthy and continue to produce at a high level, take that next step, they could be right there with him. Noah Fant in Denver. And, of course, a guy that I've been talking about all offseason, Mike Gesicki with the Miami Dolphins. Those were two tight ends to keep in a very watchful eye on. But for me right now, Mark Andrews is the fourth best tight end in football, and he's being paid as such. Good for him and the Baltimore Ravens, recognizing what they have and getting this deal done sooner rather than later. The San Francisco 49ers, in case you missed it, inked a one-year deal with veteran cornerback Joshua Norman. So essentially, he's taking over the ageless veteran role that was occupied by Dick Sherman. Last year, Sherman, as we all know, got in trouble this offseason. Could have been back with the 49ers. There was this rumor out there that the Saints were sniffing around him. Then he gets in trouble, and no one's touched him to this point. And I don't know if he's going to get a call. And so Josh Norman is a big beneficiary of that happening. He wasn't terrible last year in Buffalo. And I told Washington fans, I bet you he goes to Buffalo. They keep him pretty much in zone coverage. Don't ask him to play man-to-man against anybody and keep him out of trouble, and he'll be solid. And he pretty much was. Obviously, there's a meme that will forever go down in meme lore and history as one of the best when he gets stiff-armed by Derrick Henry. But outside of him getting tossed around like a pile of garbage, he was actually solid for the Buffalo Bills last year. So the 49ers will have him join their team and see if they can't get some quality snaps from Josh Norman. In case you missed it, speaking of cornerbacks, in the Seattle Seahawks, we just talked about them. They swap with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Killer Witherspoon was a guy the Seahawks signed this offseason from the San Francisco 49ers. Failed project by the 49ers. They drafted Killer Witherspoon in the third round out of Colorado about 3 or 4 years ago. It just hasn't worked, and they moved on from him this offseason. He signs with Seattle. He fits the DNA profile of a Seattle Seahawk corner. He's 6'3", he's 200 pounds, long arms, can run. And so I said, man, this is the perfect place for Kilo Witherspoon. He's going to resurrect his career in Seattle. And then he goes to Seattle, and they're like, yeah, he's all right, but we're good. We got some other guys we like. So the Steelers are hurting at the cornerback position. They trade for Kilo Witherspoon, and we're going to see if he can't go to Pittsburgh because they could use more help in the secondary. They lost Steven Nelson. They lost their nickel corner as well. So they're hurting in that secondary this year. And Kilo Witherspoon is a guy that could come in there, and I don't know what he's going to give them, but he's a hell of a prospect. I've always been an Kilo Witherspoon fan from a measurables standpoint, and he checks off all the boxes. Now can he actually play? Maybe he gets put into a scheme that suits his skill set better. Maybe he'll be able to flourish, and maybe that place is the Steel City with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll see. Steelers give up a 5th round 2023 draft pick in exchange for the services of Kilo Witherspoon. We'll see how that works out for the Steelers. In case you missed it, we've been talking about this name for quite a while, why he hadn't been signed, what is he waiting on, where will he go, will he go to a contending team? KJ Wright signs with the Vegas Raiders on a 1-year deal. Not what I was expecting. The deal? Yeah, that's exactly what I expected, a 1-year deal somewhere. The Vegas Raiders? Not what I was expecting. I was expecting them to sign with a championship contending type team, like the Rams or someone like that. And maybe with KJ Wright all along, it was just a situation where he was just waiting for an opportunity. It wasn't about him asking for a ton of money or him looking for the right fit. He was just looking for somebody to give him a chance. And that team ended up being Vegas. Now, I don't know all of the particulars. I don't know how much his deal is worth. I don't know, why he hadn't signed before, but he's now on the Vegas Raiders. We'll see how that works out for them. They move on from Tanner Muse, and I love Michael Mayock to death, but I've long said that he is doing a horrendous job in Vegas with the Raiders. He's drafted poorly. He's reached for guys. Tanner Muse was a great example. I think Raiders fans are still killing him over that pick. I know one of my best friends is a Raiders fan, and he's like, what the hell is he doing, man? That's your boy. And I'm like, that is my boy, and I don't know what the hell he's doing because Tanner Muse everyone knew that this guy was going to have to convert to safety, but you're not taking him in the third round. Yeah, he can run. He's a 4.41 guy, but he's stiff as hell. And you're like, this guy can't possibly play linebacker at a high enough level in this league to be taken in the third round. If anything, you take this guy as a special teamer in the 7th round or an undrafted guy and you sign him, but they took him in the 3rd round. They just cut him. And KJ Wright is now a Vegas Raider. So good for him. Good for them. Let's see how it works out. And finally, in case you missed it, the Jets are sniffing around linebacker Reuben Foster. If you recall, Reuben Foster, once a first-round pick of the San Francisco 49ers, had a couple of run-ins with the law, including a couple of spats with his former girlfriend that turned into domestic violence claims. He was then released by the 49ers after being given chance after chance after chance. He then latches on with Washington, who puts in a claim, the only team in the league to do so. He goes to Washington. He's a model citizen. We don't hear a peep out of him off the field. He does everything right. And then he tears his ACL in camp before the season even starts, before the 2020 season, before the 2019 season. Sits out the entire 19 season, comes back fully healthy in the 2020 campaign, but isn't a Ron Rivera guy. Doesn't look like himself in camp, so they cut him. They pretty much put him on IR with an injury designation, which effectively said they were trying to cut him, but they didn't cut him. So he ends up being a free agent after the 2020 season. Washington just doesn't re-sign him, and no one else signs him either. He gets into great shape. I've seen videos on socials of him running around, cutting and stopping and planting and doing all of the things that made this guy a first-round pick from an athletic standpoint. And now the Jets are interested. Robert Saleh, it makes a ton of sense. I think he might have been there in San Francisco when Reuben Foster was selected. And he probably understands that the guy has had a checkered past off the field. But if he was with him in San Francisco, he might know the type of person he is. And he definitely knows what kind of athlete and player he is when he's healthy. So it makes a ton of sense. The Jets haven't signed him, but it's good to know someone's sniffing around if he wants to get another opportunity. This could be the beginning of him getting another chance in the NFL and another lease on life. I think he'll find a way onto a roster at some point before this season is done, and what he does with that opportunity is totally up to him. But I think Reuben Foster is going to end up playing football again in this league. We shall see. Anyway, thank you for all of those super chats. I got another super chat here, I believe. This one is from Valmont Smart. Thank you for the super chat and for becoming a brand new member of the MOBB. Valmont Smart, greatly appreciate you. I'm gonna just call you Versus from now on. What up, Lou? Just showing some love. The content is great. Hail. Love it, Versus. Really appreciate you. Thank you for the comment, showing some love, and of course, becoming a member of the mob. Stand up. Versus. Really do appreciate you. Got another one here from Chauncey Davis. Thank you for the super chat, Chauncey Davis. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Chauncey, writes, Lou, Chauncey. He says, my guy, Tim Settle, is in the 4th year of his original contract. Hit 5 sacks from the interior line position last year, 24 years old. This is it for him. This is it. The last year of Settle. This is it. It's over for him in Washington. He will not be back. Again, you can't pay everyone. I guarantee you next draft, Washington will be selecting an interior defensive lineman, and I would not be shocked in the least if they drafted a defensive end very highly, because you got to understand there's a real possibility that Montez Sweat or Young may not be back either. It's more so Sweat than Young at this point, but you never know what could happen. Sweat could end up being the more dominant of the two, and Young could be the guy that they look at and say, I don't know about this guy. So at the end of the day, they've already paid one defensive tackle in Jonathan Allen. We'll see what they decide to do with the other Bama boy, Daron Payne, but I can assure you that Tim Settle isn't going to be back unless Settle has another big year. They decide to then pay him instead of Daron Payne and they move forward that way. Highly unlikely if you ask me, but you just never know. I think Tim Settle's going to ultimately have to get his bread, and he will if he does what he did last year. If we see him ping-winging 7 or 8 times this year, which means he's gotten a sack, he'll get paid by somebody, next year for sure. And he's a good football player, man. Love him as a backup in the depth he provides for us. But I don't want to have to talk about that right now because he's still here. But I know it's something that's coming down the pipeline at season's end. So, young guy too, as you mentioned, only 24 years of age. So, we'll see what happens. Ephraim the Faithful, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Ephraim the Faithful. My guy Ephraim writes, "Hail to the Mob Squad." Indeed. Stand up, Ephraim. You're definitely in the building. Worried about our depth at linebacker and running back. I believe we will regret letting Barber go. Any chance we bring in significant upgrades to the linebacker room? I don't think they're doing anything. Remember, I've told you guys from the jump when I thought they were going to keep 6 and they ultimately only kept 4, that I didn't think they were going to do anything. I thought they were going to keep the 6 guys. The 2 special teamers and Mayo and David Mayo and Jared Norris. I thought they were going to keep those 2 in addition to the 4 that they ultimately kept. Well, they cut those 2 guys. They brought both of them back onto the practice squad, and then they were able to place rookie safety Derek Forrest on IR, clearing space on the roster for David Mayo to be active now. And now they got Jordan Kuznick on the practice squad. So still got 2 backers on the practice squad, got a 5th now on the roster. They're not looking outside of the organization right now to add to the linebacker room. I thought there was an outside chance when they cut those other guys that would be what they did initially before the practice squad was assembled. But once I saw the practice squad list and I saw all the usual suspects and the guys that they had just cut back on the practice squad, I was like, okay, no, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to look outside of the organization to bring someone in. They're comfortable. And I said that I thought they were comfortable with the guys that were here. I didn't think they were looking to really make a big splash. As a matter of fact, I don't think they signed anyone from anybody else's team. Every guy that is on our roster was amongst the 90 guys that they brought to OTAs at the beginning of spring. It's the same group of guys that they chopped down to 80 and then finally to 53. And even the practice squad, I don't think there are any new names on that list. It's a bunch of guys, with the exception of the place kicker. I think, and you could just pretty much say, well, he took Steven Montez's place on the practice squad. Like, outside of him, Eddie Pinheiro. Everybody is someone that has been on the roster this summer fighting for a roster spot. We know all of these dudes. So they're trusting their intel. They're trusting their scouts. They're trusting their process. Their pro scouting, their college scouting. They're trusting all of the work that they've done over the last year to assemble this roster. They're just going to continue to forge forward with that. So I don't think there'll be any significant upgrades to the linebacker position nor the running back position. I don't think the running back position really needs anything at this current moment. I agree with you. I do think the depth could be tested should an injury arise. They do have Jonathan Williams, who they like on the practice squad, but Jonathan Williams doesn't move the needle for me. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for that super chat, Ephraim the Faithful. All right, so we're going to get to our final segment of the show, but before we do that, we've got one more quick break we'll take. We'll come back on the other side of that break, and we'll wrap up the show with garbage time. You already know, and if you don't, your ass better call somebody. Backed by popular demand are the LTN exclusives platter of pools and leagues for the upcoming 2021 NFL season. First up, we start with the LTN NFL Weekly Pick'em Pool. No year-long commitment here. Rather, this is a week-to-week pool that allows players to pick winners of each week's games, including a Monday night winner with combined points, which serves as a tiebreaker. So essentially, you pick a winner for each and every single game, and then Monday night, you pick a winner and points combined between the two teams. That serves as a tiebreaker. The person with the least amount of losses wins the entire pot. $7 per sheet, winner takes all, minus a $2 per sheet maintenance fee. No limit as to how many sheets you can play per week. So if you want to play 3 hands because you think that gives you a better chance to win, by all means, knock yourself out. Must have PayPal or Cash App to participate, as that's how you will turn in your money and that's how you will receive your earnings should you win. Link to sign up in the description of this video. Just head over to LouieTeeNetwork.net and hit the LTN exclusives tab if you don't want to hit the link down in the description. Next up, we have the 9th annual Louie T Network Soul Survivor Pool. I am 0 for 8 in this department. I am dying to get a win here. Survivor pool rules apply. So simply, you pick a team to get you through to the next week. If that team wins, you advance to the next week. You can no longer pick that team for the remainder of the pool, and so forth, so forth. The team you pick loses, you're then eliminated. Last player or participating member standing wins the entire pool. $20 entry fee here. Winner takes all. Must have PayPal or Cash App to participate. Once again, same thing. You need those two, one of the two, to pay and then to get the money should you win. The link is down in the description of this video to register for the Survivor Pool. Just need to either hit that link and it'll send you directly to where you need to go, or you can go over to LouieTeeNetwork.net, hit the LTN exclusives tab, and go from there. Finally, we go to the Don Dada, the granddaddy of them all, Winners and Losers League. Okay, this is a year-long league requiring weekly selections to be made for 18 straight weeks. So if you cannot make a season-long commitment to put in picks each and every single week, this is not the league for you. We talk about the NFL being a war of attrition and not being a sprint, but rather a marathon. That's exactly what this league is. A running accumulation of wins and losses will be kept, and the winner will be the person with the best win-loss record at the end of the season. Okay, winner will take all, will get the championship belt and the title of Winners and Losers champ. You're listening right now to the current two-time Winners and Losers champ, and I don't see that changing in the upcoming season. $25 entry fee, must have PayPal or Cash App to participate for the same reasons I mentioned before. Link in the description to join this league. Go ahead and make sure you do that expeditiously. Get over there and sign up as quickly as possible so we can get all the particulars hammered out, and you'll know how many people are in it and how much money is going to be awarded to the winner, which is going to be me. And so again, all of the pools and leagues, you can see the links down in the description and click those specific links to wherever you want to go, or you can just head over to LouieTeeNetwork.net and hit the LTN exclusives tab, and that will show you where you need to go, and you'll have all of the buttons directing you. Please read all of the different prompts once you get to those specific pools and leagues, so that you don't miss any of the small, finer, granular details. That being said, that's it. LTN exclusives for the 2021 season officially open for business. Please sign up. Let's have fun, but most importantly, let's get dubs. Bart Scott can't wait. So thank you for coming back to me. We're coming down home stretch of the show, final segment before we get into it. Want to remind you guys about that promo that you just saw, LTN exclusives. Got 2 more days left before the start of the season. 2 more days to get in. A lot of you like to wait to the last minute to do things. You got to be pushed and nudged in a direction. There is no more fun than Winners and Losers. It's a year-long thing. You pick the winners of each game, each week. And it's a running tab. It's an accumulation all year long. The person with the best record, which is going to be me. It's going to be me. Gets the chip. And tomorrow, I'm going to whip out the championship belt and let you guys see it. I've been shining it up last couple of days. And I'm gonna just let it all hang out tomorrow. So it should be a ton of fun with the championship belt. And winner gets all the spoils. Gets the championship belt. They get the strap. They get the cash, and they get bragging rights for an entire year. So, Soul Survivor Pool, haven't won it yet. Somebody always wins other than me. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Okay, something's got to change there. I got to find a way to win it this year. I'm looking forward to that. And weekly pick 'em pool. Again, you don't want to be bound by a year-long commitment of putting in picks every single week. Totally understand that if you don't think that's something you can do. Don't sign up for something that you can't follow through on. The weekly pick 'em pool is then the thing that's for you. Each and every single week, you get to make picks. $7 a sheet. Again, winner takes all. And all you got to do is pick winners. If you think you're that good and you know the NFL, pick winners then. So, looking forward to you guys. All of the links you need are in the description of this video. And if you need even more help, you know how to get to me, man. I'm all over the place. Hit me on YouTube. Hit me on Twitter. Hit me on IG. You know how to get to me. You got all of the different socials. All right. Email me even. Anyway, I digress. Garbage time. To finish up this show, I got a couple of super chats. I want to get to these real quick before I get to garbage time, because we're going to switch gears during garbage time tonight. Red Wings 01, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Red Wings 01. Thank you for your generosity. Who writes, I keep hearing guys saying Gibson and JP can do the same thing Barber can, but A, they can't do it on the same level as Barber, and B, who in their right minds would subject our star running backs to that kind of abuse? So let's start with your A. Can they do it on the same level as Barber? We can't say they cannot. I've just been adamant about the fact that we saw Barber do it last year, and so I know he can do it. I'm not saying that the others can't do it. I just know that Barber can, and I like a sure thing. I like a sure thing. Who doesn't like a sure thing? Who doesn't like the thing that's guaranteed? Okay? I love it. When I go to a store, I had to explain this to my son the other day. If they're giving away a shirt, and I had to explain this to my daughter too. If it's buy one, get one, or it's 2 for $30. And so she was buying a shirt. It was 2 for $30. If you just buy one, it's $24.99. I was like, girl, you may not like another shirt over there. They're essentially saying you can get each shirt for $15, or you can get one shirt for $5. You can say it however you like. Pay $25 for one and $5 for the other. Either way, you need to go over there and get another damn shirt, is what I'm telling you. Whether you want it or not, go find another shirt over there. Who doesn't love guarantees? If you do this, you get that. Spend $100, get a $25 rebate. Who doesn't love guarantees? The safety of knowing that Peyton Barber, you put him on the field in 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, he's going to get it, was so reassuring last year. I've never had that feeling as a fan, knowing that in a short yardage situation, I got nothing to worry about if they just turn around and hand the ball to number 25. They do that, we're going to be just fine. No problems. No questions asked. Just turn around and hand it to 25 and we're good. There were times where we had to pull Scott Turner aside and put our arm around his neck. And sometimes you had to squeeze a little tight. Come here, Scott. Come here, Scott. Damn it. Now, why in the hell would you want to go and do that? 3rd and 1. Why would you want to go play action pass? 4th and 1. Why would you want to go play action pass when we got goddamn Peyton Barber? Had to talk to him against the Steelers. Luckily, we got the pass interference on TJ Watt that gave us a fresh set of downs. And after having that damn pep talk with Scott's ass, he gave it to him on 1st down and he got in the end zone. Should have did that the last time. But it was so refreshing. So reassuring to know, yeah, I'm going to turn around and hand it to 25 and he got us. I'm not saying that won't be the case with 24 or 32 this year if they put those guys in that situation. I'm not saying that they won't get it. I'm just saying I knew the other guy was. I'll take the guarantee over the guys that are question marks that I'm not sure about. As far as them being able to do it at the same level, we don't know that. Gibson could end up being 14 or 14 this year, like Barber was last year, or whatever it was. Gibson could be batting 1,000 this year. We could be saying the same thing, and people could come to me and chastise me at the end of the year. All that shit you was talking about, Gibson not being able to pick up 4th downs, and we were going to miss Barber out. Gibson got every single one of them. Okay. I want that to be the case, by the way. I don't want to be right here. I do not want to be right. I want Gibson to pick up these 4th downs and these 3rd and shorts. I just saw him in the preseason not be able to get one. And I know Barber would have got that same one. As far as who in their right mind would want to subject your star running backs to that kind of punishment, that's a part of the gig. When you sign up as a running back, you sign up for 1st and 10, 3rd and short, 3rd downs as a pass blocker. You sign up for all of that. Running into the A-gap and meeting a blitzing linebacker and smack dab into him so that you can protect your quarterback. That's a part of the job. So no one's really worried about that part. That's part of being a running back. 1st and 10, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, down by the goal line, all of that's part of being a running back. So thank you for the super chat, Red Wing 01. Got another super chat here from Chauncey Davis. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Chauncey Davis. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Chauncey Davis, writes, Lou, Chauncey. I believe Ron learned from his time in Carolina about his loyalty to keeping older players. We family, you seem to be stuck in 2nd gear. Yeah, I talked about Ron pretty much coming out and saying that when he first got here. That he didn't really want to make some of the mistakes that he made in Carolina. He learned from them, and he vowed not to make those same mistakes. And I've talked about that already. And Ron has already said it himself. And if you listen to Ron and Martin Mayhew during that 53-man roster presser that they had after the 53-man roster was announced, he pretty much echoed those sentiments again, like, hey, the goal is to get younger, and Martin Mayhew pretty much gave you the rhetoric, the Ron's plan rhetoric, which is we want younger, we want healthier, we want faster. He stopped short of cheaper, but if you gave him truth serum, he would have said cheaper as well, guys on the roster. But he was like, and I never really explored it from that angle as far as healthier. Young guys recover faster than a 31-year-old guy. A 24-year-old recovers faster than a 31-year-old. That same hammy or that same lingering, sore quad. Chase Young played with a groin injury and a hip injury all last year pretty much. That's what young boys can do. You get an old man in that same predicament, he's got to miss some time. So these types of things, that's why I said these guys get paid the big bucks, because they consider everything. I hadn't even thought of it from that angle. Just the rapid healing. I remember Chris Cooley talking about how he could heal as a young guy first coming into the league and how long it took him to heal from the same injuries as he got up there in age. It wasn't the same. So it's a different process for sure. So I think there is a little bit of that for sure with Ron. And he hasn't really been trying to hide it. He's been pretty blunt about wanting to keep the younger guys on the roster. And I think he even went as far as to say, of the 53 guys remaining on the roster, 25 of them are either in the first, second, or third year in the league, still on that rookie contract. So that kind of showed you nearly half of the roster is on a rookie contract and either in the first, second, or third year of that rookie contract. So that tells you where their mindset is as to how they want to construct this roster and how they want this roster to look moving forward. So thank you for the super chat and doubling up, Chauncey Davis. Got another one here from Red Wings 01. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Red Wings 01. Greatly appreciate you, my guy, Red Wings 01. And I want to give a huge shout out to all the members of the MOBB in the comment section right now. Stand up. We in the building as always. Thank y'all for holding me down. And I got to talk to y'all before we go once more tonight. My Terps got the dub over those West Virginia hillbillies. Made all of the more sweet since my little bro goes to West Virginia while I'm at Maryland. To the victor goes the bragging rights. Football season's off to a pretty nice start. That was actually a pretty good game as well. Back and forth, Maryland pulled it out late. There was a lot of good college football. That's the perfect segue to where I was going, Red Wings 01. So thank you for that. And I'm glad your Terps got off to a great start. So garbage time is all about college football and the week 1 of college football. Week 0 is trash. But it's look, I'll always take football over no football, you know. Albeit Coastal Carolina versus Wichita State, I don't really give a shit. I'll take it. But the week 1 where you get the big time matchups, you usually get a top 10 matchup, and you get a bunch of really quality games. We got a lot of big time matchups. You got Georgia versus Clemson. That was supposed to be the headliner of the weekend. That was a 3 versus 5. You got Penn State versus Wisconsin. I want to say that was 19 versus 14. And Penn State went on the road, and I think James Franklin got his first victory against a top 15 ranked team in the nation on the road in his Penn State career. I think he was previously 0-12 or something like that. That was a fun game. I'll talk about that one a little bit more here in a second. I think that was it in terms of 2 top 25 teams pitting against one another. I may be forgetting a game. But then you had some upsets. You had some near upsets. I think UW ended up getting upset by somebody. I know Oklahoma almost got upset by Tulane. Notre Dame almost got upset by Florida State. And I may be missing a couple of games. I watched Miami and Alabama. I know there are some Miami fans out there. One in particular, I can't remember who it was because there are several Miami fans that I talk to on a regular basis. But one in particular came on and said, hey, we got a big game against Alabama. I hope we make it close and hang in there. I said, look, I'm just asking for y'all to keep it close to halftime. Like, don't have this thing being, I think I said, 27-3 at halftime. I wasn't that far off. It was 24-3 at halftime. That game was never in doubt. And then Ole Miss and Louisville. Whew, that was a massacre. I really like Matt Corral, and I've been talking about him in my mind. I haven't said it out loud to anybody, but I really like him, and I've liked him over the last about year and a half or so. He's really grown on me, and I think he's the guy to look out for this year at the quarterback position as well. Anyway, Clemson, Georgia, we start there. I watched a lot more college football than I usually do. I'm not a massive college football fan. I just love when it's on. Just knowing that at 10:45 at night, if I want it, it's there. At 12, 6:30 in the afternoon, if I want it, it's there. At 4:27 in the afternoon, if I want it, it's there. At 6:29 in the evening, if I want it, it's there. At 8:11 at night, if I want it, it's there. At 10:36 at night, if I want it, it's there. And at 12:22 in the morning, if I want it, it's there on Saturday going into Sunday. It's always there on Saturday. And I just love knowing that. Even if I got to get some Hawaii versus Boise at midnight, it's there. You want some Pac-12 after dark? It's there. Go get you some Stanford and Cal. Go get you some. I love it. Even if I'm not watching, I know it's there if I want it. That's the beauty of college football. It's always on Saturday. And you can get whatever you like. You can get whatever you like. Yeah, I treat college football like Halloween candy. I go in the bucket and I pick out the ones I want, man. I want your Kit Kats. Give me the Baby Ruth. You can keep the dots. I don't want those. You can have the Sweet Tarts. All of them. They all yours. That banana Laffy Taffy, keep it in the bucket. It's all yours, okay? I just go to get in and I pick all the candy that I want. I get to pick every game that I want. I don't have to subject myself to UAB versus Central Arkansas. I don't have to watch that shit if I don't want to. I get to nitpick. Hell, if I don't feel like dealing with the slog and the slush that is the Big Ten, if I don't feel like dealing with Penn State versus Wisconsin, I don't have to watch that shit. I can go watch another game. I can go watch Oklahoma and Tulane score damn near 50. What'd that end up? 41-37 or something like that? 41-35? Go watch that game. I don't want to watch a knockdown, drag-out slobber knocker. But I did enjoy that Penn State-Wisconsin game. But let's start with Clemson, Georgia. That was supposed to be the main attraction of the weekend. And DJ Ugalele, and I know I just messed his name up, and I'll just like we did with Tua when he first came on the scene and nobody could say his name, we'll get his name correct. Let's just call him DJ for now. That wasn't the guy that I saw last year in those two games against Boston College and against my Fighting Irish in South Bend last year, where he almost took us out. That wasn't the same dude. I don't know what the hell that was about. Yeah, they lost players. Everybody lost players. That was horrendous. He was awful in that game. Now, he can bounce back, and he may turn out to be one hell of a quarterback. He was not good in that game. And Georgia's defense did have a lot to do with that. They were good. They were flying around. They did make plays, but my God, was he bad. And I'm not used to seeing Clemson struggle like that. When's the last time you've seen a Clemson offense be reduced to 3 points? I can't tell you the last time they've done that, But I can tell you this. What they've been accustomed to, the last 4 quarterbacks before DJ, are all guys that were willing to use their feet as a weapon, and I don't know if DJ is willing to do that. Now, he's a big kid, man. You're talking about 6'5", like 240, 250. Dude's huge. But he can move. He's an athlete. He can run. He's going to have to start using his legs, man. He's not as dynamic as, Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson or Tyler Boyd or any of those guys that were there. But he's going to have to use his legs. They're going to be in trouble and he's got to be more accurate as a passer and more decisive too. And it may come, but Clemson, they only gave up 10 points, so their defense played ball. We'll see what happens with them. Georgia, on the other hand, their offense worries me, to say the least. They score points, but their offense is not great. But they got the job done. We'll see what happens and how far that win takes them this season. Notre Dame, Florida State. First of all, I'm a Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan. You guys know that. I'll just tell you this. The offense is a lot more explosive this year than it's been in quite some time. Like, we can play with the big boys offensively from a speed standpoint. I talked all this shit about Jack Cohen because I watched him at Wisconsin. I'm like, he's going to stick. He's not. I mean, in that one game, now again, it's Florida State. Florida State's still Florida State. Like, they're not back or anything like that, but I don't give a shit who it is. We weren't that dynamic offensively throwing the football at any point with Ian Book, ever. So, and we just got more athletes. Dudes that can run, dudes that are playmakers. And that was without a run game. Normally, everything we get in the passing game with Notre Dame is predicated off of success running the football. We didn't have any run game. That said, I thought we were too conservative after we took an 18-point lead. We had these boys dead to rights. Game was over, man. We were up 28-10, I think the score was. And we just took our foot off the gas. We're like, oh, we got them. They're not scoring 18 points. We're good. We don't need to do anything else. That's bullshit. And it almost cost us the damn game. We couldn't stop the run. Our defensive coordinator refused to get out of the 3-3-5 defense that we were in, and they rammed it down our throats. Conversely, we couldn't run the football, so we couldn't eat up the clock, and it seemed like we started to play the clock instead of playing against Florida State and continuing to throw the football. They couldn't stop us from throwing the football. And I do believe we have the best tight end in the nation, but boy, did he have two big drops or what. Michael Mayer tried to single-handedly give the game away. Had a huge third down drop early in the game when we were trying to step on their throats and we had to end up punting. And then he had the massive third down drop at the end of regulation that would have put us in field goal range to try to win it at the gun. So he was single-handedly trying to kill us. Even our overtime possession was conservative. And that's being nice. I thought they went into a complete shell, and they got lucky to win that game. As for Florida State, Norvell is their new coach. I like him. I hope he gets things back on track. Because, man, Florida State, what they used to be and what they are now, my God, it's a 180. They can't go down the path of Tennessee. They got to find a way to rally back and become Florida State again. And it's Florida. They got all these athletes there. They got to figure it out. They got to figure out the quarterback position. Mackenzie Milton came in, and I'm going to just tell you this. I'm so glad. And that game reminded me of why they had to get, I forgot the name of that broadcaster, off of Monday Night Football. Oh, my God. He is the worst. Me and my family spent 20 minutes talking about him. He was slobbering all over Mackenzie Milton's knob. Like, oh, my God. It reminded me of his behavior on that Monday night when it was Drew Brees' porn night, when he broke the record against Washington. Mackenzie Milton came in with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and you would have thought he came in with 8 minutes left in the first quarter. Because they literally talked about this man. Medical miracle. He said that at least 25 times in the span of the final 8 minutes of the game. And he was like, we should be talking more about Jack Cohen. He's having a fantastic game. If not for Mackenzie Milton. I'm like, this bastard just got in the goddamn game, and you won't stop talking about him. Jack Cohen is out here having a career night. And all you want to talk about is Mackenzie Milton. And I get it. It's a great story. Never thought he would play football again. We get it. We got it the first 25 times you told us about it. But I digress. He's the best quarterback on their roster. He should play. He should start. He showed a little bit of mobility. The other quarterback can't read the field. He's just an athlete playing quarterback. We'll see what happens with Florida State. That was too close for comfort. If you're Notre Dame, you do that against a better opponent, you're going to lose. Simple as that. I think the offensive line will be fine. We got 4 brand new starters on the offensive line. We're going to be fine. We struggled last year to start the season off on the offensive line running the football against Duke. We're going to be fine, I think. Alabama cruised to an easy 44-13 victory or something like that against Miami. I've long said that what's the quarterback's name that they where the hell they get him from? Forgot what school they got him from. He stinks. Anyway, whatever his name. Their offensive line was horrendous. They didn't do him any favors, but he stinks. And there's some people up there talking about when they start listing the quarterbacks that will be highly touted and sought after them, and they list him. What's the Miami quarterback name? Let me stop just saying the Miami quarterback and find out what his damn name is. Miami Hurricanes starting quarterback. De'Aaron King. Yeah, he stinks, man. De'Aaron King's horrible. Their offensive line wasn't very good, but he stinks. And they did whatever they wanted. Alabama did whatever they wanted to do on offense, honestly speaking. They had the young kid out there, what is his name? Bryce something. Is it Bryce Wilson? I don't know. Don't get me the line. Let me see what his name is. It is Bryce Young. Bryce Young was phenomenal in the game. And I think he's got some athleticism, but he's not like a dynamic athlete. But it's enough to keep you honest. He's got a strong arm, quick release. He sees it well. They're in good hands, man. Alabama, I remember at one point, you didn't go to Alabama for quarterbacks. And now they're on this ridiculous tear where all of their guys are getting to the league and becoming high-level draft picks and guys that you're trying to move up in the draft position to get. And we'll see what happens with this kid and how he turns out, but they just got athletes on both sides of the field, and they showed it again. They're going to be really good this season. Penn State, Wisconsin, that one was ugly and not for the faint of heart. You got small children. You need to hide them. And if your stomach's a little weak, you probably shouldn't watch that kind of football game. It was tough to stomach and watch. I enjoyed it because I love defense, but man, the offense in that game was hideous. I mean, credit the defense, but you also got to take a step back and say, man, the offense is pretty damn bad. And it was. Neither one of those quarterbacks are any good. And it's amazing because the Wisconsin quarterback, he was getting all kinds of name and likeness deals. He was one of the first guys to get one, and he stinks. he's horrible. And it could have just been one game. I saw him at times last year, and I thought, this guy might actually be something. But he plays at Wisconsin, and they just don't put out good quarterbacks. So I find it hard to believe he's going to be any good. But they just are. It's crazy because some of these teams, you just look at them and you say, will they ever change the narrative with this team? Like Wisconsin, I know all they can do is run the ball. They never have a passing game. You don't go there looking for receivers. You know, every now and again they may produce a guy or two, but you go there for tight ends. You go there for their offensive linemen. They run the football. They play defense. That's it. Like, can you ever change up the narrative? Can you ever get a guy that can help you score 30-something a game? I was watching Iowa, and that's what the Big Ten is. That's why I can't stand the Big Ten. Iowa beat up on some team in week 1 of college football. And they scored like 31 and 37, something like that. It was the most points Iowa ever scored in a home opener in like the last whatever years, like 20 years or whatever. And I'm like, are you serious? That's Iowa football for you, though. They don't score a bunch of points, generally speaking. And you could really just take that and extrapolate it across the entire Big Ten, not Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan, generally speaking. And even Penn State, with their quarterback situation the way it is, and I don't even know if they got a nasty running back. I don't know if Journey Brown is still there. He probably should be. But they don't look like they've got a ton of offensive weaponry right now. It was a gutsy win on the road. Defensively, they got it done. When they had to make stops, they made them. And they made timely plays, and they got the win. Good for them. Talked about the Ole Miss quarterback, Corral, already. I really like him. He was outstanding in the game on Monday night against Louisville. Their quarterback stinks. Cunningham, funky. He's like Lamar Jackson. I don't want to call it great value because that would do it a disservice to Lamar Jackson. Whatever's the worst brand you can think of something that never works and breaks in 2 seconds, that's what Cunningham is of Lamar Jackson. And that's why they recruited him. They wanted him to be Lamar Jackson 2.0. He stinks. And that game was frustrating. And that game, to me, is part of the reason why I have this love-hate relationship with college football. Targeting is the stupidest thing ever. And not the rule itself. I get what they're trying to do. I can't stand the punishment. So you're really gonna make a guy sit out the remainder of the game. They had like 5 or 6 dudes in that game Monday night, Ole Miss versus Louisville. They had like 5 or 6 dudes get ejected from that game for targeting. Are you kidding me? Like you think guys like no one's looking to take somebody's head off with a helmet-to-helmet hit. Don't throw me out of the game for that, for being physical. Like, one of the tackles is a backup linebacker for Ole Miss, and he was laying the wood on everybody. Lit up a dude on special teams already. He gets in the game, and he takes it to this running back. It's a clean hit. He just lowers his helmet to initiate contact. And the running back was fine. He was fine. Everybody was fine. But they hit him with targeting and throw him out of the game. I think the targeting rule is so poorly the penalty is so poorly misguided, because you can't take a guy in a sport where your adrenaline's pumping like football and there's so much aggression that comes with this game. It's dog eat dog, essentially. It's me or him. And you try to neuter a guy. It's hard to not duck your head. It is human instinct to duck your head to protect yourself when you're going to run into something. You protect yourself. The first thing you do without even thinking when you're going to fall down on the ground is do what? You put your hand out. You don't think about that. It's instinct. You just put your hand out. I got to protect myself. So if you're playing football, somebody's running at you, or you're running at somebody full speed, they duck, you're going to duck. The target is changed, and you're looking to protect yourself. Whether it's the runner or the tackler, it's the dump. If you're going to enforce the rule, just give it a 15-yard penalty. If the same guy gets targeting twice, okay, fine, you want to throw him out the game, throw him out the game. But one targeting penalty, I'm done. I worked this hard all week long, and now my game, 4 minutes into the game, I'm done. I got to sit on the sidelines and watch the rest of the game. I'm not hurt. I'm not impaired at all. I just can't play because I made one mistake on the field. That has got to be the stupidest rule in all of football. And you think that's going to stop guys from doing it? They're not out to try to take somebody's head off helmet to helmet style. It's dumb. It's rough. Anyway, I digress. Oklahoma had a scare. Every time I want to believe in Oklahoma, I just take one look at their defense and I say nothing's changed. And you can pretty much say that. That's the thing about college football that I just find funny every year, is that there's a narrative about every single team in college football because they recruit the same type of players. You keep the same guys year after year after year. Then they finally move on. And then you get more guys that look like the guys you already have that didn't get it done. And you bring them in and you expect different results. So you get the same thing out of the program. If you're not Alabama, if you're not Clemson, if you're not Ohio State, then you need to try something different. Because what you've been recruiting isn't good enough. And yet, the same problems plague the same teams every single year. And Oklahoma, for the life of me, I can't understand why their offense is so damn good. Every year, they could swap out quarterbacks. It doesn't matter. That guy is going to be in the Heisman discussion. But the defense is god-awful every year. Why can't you recruit better athletes and coach them up better at Oklahoma? Why is this such a big problem? Why can't you get better athletes at Wisconsin? Why is this a problem? Why can't you score more than 20 points and have to eke out a 20-13 win at Wisconsin, at Iowa? Why? Why can't Michigan State have an offense that's explosive that can score 48 points? They keep recruiting the same guys and expecting different results. It's a joke. Anyway, I digress. Washington had a tough loss. They're on ESPN on Saturday night, I think. I want to say they're on Saturday night. Might be Saturday afternoon. Either way, they need a big win. They need a win in the worst way. That was a tough loss. Anyway, I enjoyed college football this weekend. Can't you tell? Football is back. Fall plus college football equals it's really back. It really means it's back. That first week of college football sets the stage for the NFL for the rest of the year. And I must say it did not disappoint. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the 198th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. See if there are any comments in here. Grab a couple. HTTR for life says, we win in that Chargers game for sure, 100. We'll see about that. I hope you're right, man. I see one more comment in here. I'll grab this real quick from Brian. Say, Fitzmagic stat predictions. I think I've already given those out. I think I said something like 3,100 yards. I think it was like something like 3,100 yards. It might have been like 3,600 yards. I said 31 touchdowns and 16 interceptions. Something along those lines is what I said. But we'll see. What's good, Manny? Talking sports with Manny. What's good? Yeah, I enjoyed the college football weekend, and I'm looking forward to week number 2. I'm looking forward to some of these contests. I'm looking forward to seeing if Ole Miss and some teams like Georgia have what it takes to stand up to Alabama. Obviously, Georgia would have to make it to the SEC championship from the East in order to see Bama coming out of the West. If Bama makes it, Ole Miss might be good enough. If their defense is legit, that's not a great litmus test, that Louisville offense. There were guys open. There were plays there to be made, and they just didn't make them. So, I mean, they had a 4th down pitch to the running back, and he just dropped the ball. And he would have gotten the first down on 4th down. There were opportunities in that game for plays to be made, and they didn't make it against that defense. Now, I'm not saying they're not improved. They were one of the worst defenses in college football last year, but I remember watching the game last year against Alabama, and Ole Miss's offense was rolling. And Bama had no answer for them. Problem was they couldn't stop Bama if Bama had both arms tied behind their back and one leg was incapable of being functional. They still couldn't stop Bama on offense last year. Bama could do whatever the hell they wanted to do. So that defense looked different, but it was Louisville. That offense is that bad. So I got to see them against a real competent college football offense before I start running and making sure that I make plans to watch when they play Alabama later on in the season. LSU also had a disappointing loss to UCLA. I think UCLA is now 2-0. Maybe, just maybe, our old guy from the NFL, Chip Kelly, the Chipster, starting to get his act together at UCLA. I think their quarterback stinks too. Something Thompson, I think his name is. Yeah, I think he stinks too. But LSU could be in some trouble, man. LSU could be in some trouble. That was a pretty bad loss. Pretty bad loss, if I may say so myself. Anyway, I digress. I'm going to get out of here. I talked to guys to death and talked to you for far too long about college football. A lot of you don't even care about college football. So in any event, I'm going to get out of here. I thank you guys for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow to do this all over again. Social media maneuvers. You guys take over the show. You know what it is. So start getting those comments lined up and ready for me for tomorrow's show. We'll be talking about and previewing Dallas at Tampa to get the season kicked off, among other things. And, of course, getting to your comments. So should be a ton of fun. With that said, I'm going to get out of here. You guys, enjoy the rest of your evening. Get off the bench, get in the game, and kick it with me, your man, Louie T. If you haven't already done so, on the way out, do me a huge solid. Subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also, hit the like button. You guys have done a tremendous job of hitting the like button tonight. Really do appreciate you. Over 100 likes. So you're not going to get any complaints out of me, but if you haven't hit it, please hit it on the way out. Speaking of out, peace.